Before we get into today's episode, let me ask you something. Do you know what your current level of English really is? Understanding your level is crucial to tracking your progress and ensuring your hard work is paying off. That's why I've created a quick and easy English level test that you can take right now for free. Find out your level instantly. Just head to thebritishenglishpodcast.com/testme or check the link in the show notes.
The Apple Watch Series 10 is here. It has the biggest display ever. It's also the thinnest Apple Watch ever, making it even more comfortable on your wrist, whether you're running, swimming, or sleeping. And it's the fastest charging Apple Watch, getting you 8 hours of charge in just 15 minutes. The Apple Watch Series 10, available for the first time in glossy jet black aluminum. Compared to previous generations, iPhone XS or later required. Charge time and actual results will vary.
Hello and welcome back to the British English Podcast, where we help intermediate to advanced learners improve their British English while exploring cultural topics. And today, we're not just aiming for an interesting cultural conversation, we're aiming to up your IELTS speaking score if you were to take the exam, especially if the topic of today's episode was to come up, which is going to be about childhood. Your childhood, yes. So if you're preparing for the IELTS or just want to enrich your vocabulary and learn how to express yourself more naturally around the topic of childhood, then this episode is for you. I'm going to share a model answer to a typical IELTS question about childhood, explain why it works, and then sprinkle in useful language tips along the way. So, let's get started. Have you ever wondered if you're making real progress in your English learning journey? Knowing your level is the key to recognizing your improvements. I have a fantastic tool for you. A free English level test that gives you an instant result. Take a few minutes now to discover your level and continue your learning journey with confidence. Visit thebritishenglishpodcast.com/testme or click the link in the show notes to find out your level of English today.
Build a routine with Ollie that supports your wellness needs, like getting your daily vitamins and minerals with Ollie's multi-gummies, or keeping your mood upbeat with all the vitamin D in Hello Happy. Give your gut health some support with probiotics, and wake up feeling refreshed after taking Ollie Sleep. Do wellness on your terms. Find Ollie at a Walmart or Target near you or at ollie.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Okay, so a common question you might encounter in the IELTS speaking part 2 is, describe a memorable childhood experience. You should say what it was, who you were with, how it made you feel, and explain why it was memorable. I'm going to say that again. Describe a memorable childhood experience. You should say what it was, who you were with, how it made you feel, and explain why it was memorable. And I'm going to give you an answer that would work well in the exam. And remember, fluency, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation are all really important to the examiner. So let's see if I can deliver on that front. All right, here we go. When I think about my childhood, one memory that stands out is learning how to ride a bike without stabilizers for the first time. I must have been about 6 or 7 years old, and I was in our local park with my dad, and he'd promised me that day that I'd finally learn to ride on 2 wheels, which at the time felt like an impossible feat. Initially, I was terrified, but my dad held onto the back of the bike while I pedaled. I think I was wobbling all over the place at the beginning. And I remember him encouraging me, saying things like, "You're doing great. Keep going, keep going." And then without warning, he let go. And I realized I was riding completely on my own. I think there was a mixture of fear and exhilaration, which was unforgettable. And I think I even ended up crashing into a bush. But by then, I was so chuffed, and I think I was even laughing at what had happened, to the point where I didn't care that I had ended up crashing into a bush. And this moment was memorable because it felt like a huge milestone in my life, admittedly being quite a young person at that time. But it wasn't just about learning to ride a bike. It was about gaining confidence and realizing that I could overcome challenges if I kept trying. And it sounds cheesy, but to this day, I've kept that lesson with me. All right, there we go. So what made that a strong answer? Let's have a little look. Firstly, the structure. You probably followed it quite easily because I used a clear structure to answer the question. First, I set the scene by mentioning my age, the location, and who I was with. Then I described what happened step by step. And finally, I explained why it was meaningful to me. And this structure keeps the answer organized and really easy to follow for the listener. Then let's talk about language. I don't know if you noticed, but I used descriptive words and phrases like terrified, wobbled. I wobbled all over the place. I used fear and exhilaration, and I think I said huge milestone as well. So these paint a vivid picture and make your answer more engaging. So practice using adjectives and adverbs to add colour to your stories. But I wouldn't encourage you to think, okay, I've got 10 adjectives that I want to use. How can I use them? I would firstly think about the structure of the answer and then see where the descriptive language can come in. Beyond just adjectives and adverbs, I used quite a few natural expressions. So like without warning, or something felt like an impossible feat. And I think I used to this day. These are quite idiomatic and make the answer sound more fluent and native-like. So try incorporating a few idioms. Don't try to pepper the answer with idioms. I think that might be idiomatic, the way that I just described that. Don't try to give loads of idioms in one short space of time. Just a sprinkling, just a couple, maybe 3 or 4, nothing more than that. 1 to 4 idioms per answer, I'd say. Or just natural expressions. It doesn't have to be idiomatic. But yeah, that would definitely level up your answer. And then let's look at the grammar. I varied my tenses to reflect different parts of the story. For example, I said, I must have been about 6 or 7. So I must have been, which is a great use of a modal verb for speculation. When you're not sure, when you're guessing, it must have been last week. Where were you, sir, on the 15th of November, 2023? Because this is an ongoing investigation. Tell me where you were. Well, I must have been at the local supermarket, and then I can't remember. So I must have been. I must have been this. Or I must have been this age. I must have been in that place. Blah blah blah. And then I also said, he let go and I realized. And this uses the past simple to describe sequential actions. So yes, having control of the tenses shows an advanced level of grammar, which again will naturally increase your chances of getting a very good score. And then the final part I wanted to mention was pronunciation and intonation. I emphasized key words and phrases to show emotion. Like when I said, then without warning, he let go. I didn't just say, then without warning, he let go. There's emotion injected into the intonation, and that helps the examiner know that I'm connected to the language. I'm not just regurgitating or reciting or saying a script that I can remember. I connect with it on an emotional level. And then I think at the end, signing off, it sounds a bit cheesy, but to this day, I've kept that lesson with me. Do you hear that stress on to this day? So it kind of goes up, but there's a pause after the day, and it's stressing this part of the sentence. It sounds a bit cheesy, but to this day, I've kept that lesson with me. I encourage you to practice reading aloud to improve your delivery. It's one thing listening to a lot of content, but this exam is a speaking exam and you are needing to create the language. I notice this with different parts of my life. Like I watch a lot of a particular sport at the moment, and I hear all the commentary and I'm immersed within this world. But then if somebody asks me about this sport, I sound really, really thick. I basically can't string a sentence together. And the reason is because I'm not getting active with the vocabulary. I'm not creating sentences myself, figuring out how I can string pieces of information together within this world of this particular sport. So it really is important to practice reading aloud to improve your delivery, because listening can only get you so far. Talking of which, I think it would be a good time for you to think of a childhood memory and try to structure your answer like mine. So remember to set the scene, describe the experience, and explain why it's memorable. And if you'd like, pause this episode and give it a go. Or better yet, record yourself and listen back to see where you can improve. I know most of us don't like the idea of hearing our voice back, but the more you listen back to yourself, the more you'll feel okay with the idea of it all. And this is really the fastest way to improve, unless you want to spend a lot of money on like a language lesson every single day. But yeah, I don't think that's the right way to go, perhaps. Well, that's it for today's episode on childhood memories. I hope you found the model answer and tips useful. If you're preparing for the IELTS, remember, practice. Practice, practice, practice is key. To help you take your preparation even further, I've created a free ebook filled with 10 essential idiomatic expressions that can transform your IELTS speaking score. Not only does it explain how to use these expressions, but it also includes real-life examples, practice exercises, and even audio to help you master them. This ebook was inspired by students who struggled with idiomatic language, but ended up doing really well with their IELTS exam after learning these techniques. So whether you're aiming for a band 6.5, 7, or even 8, this resource is perfect for giving your vocabulary that extra edge the examiners are looking for. And if you're ready to dive even deeper, you'll be excited to know that I've got an IELTS speaking course available for you to join. It's a fun and interactive way to master everything you need to get a 7 or higher in the speaking exam, including advanced vocabulary, idiomatic expressions, complex grammar, and exam strategies. Plus, it's packed with videos, quizzes, and assignments that will keep you actively engaged. So, what are you waiting for? Download the free ebook now by heading to thebritishenglishpodcast.com/freebies. That's FREEBIES. And then you'll be able to see the IELTS ebook, How to Use Idioms in IELTS. And it's an audiobook as well. And when you're ready to take your IELTS prep to the next level, check out the course. It even comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee, and that is thebritishenglishpodcast.com/IELTS. Thanks for tuning in today. Until next time, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next episode of the British English Podcast. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Before you go, make sure you know where you stand in your English learning journey. I've created a free English level test that you can take right now to find out your exact level. It's quick, easy, and gives you instant results. Head to thebritishenglishpodcast.com/testme or check the link in the show notes. Because tracking your progress helps you stay on track. We can't use track twice, guys. No, let's do that again. Yeah, we don't have time. Oh. All right, we'll just delete this last sentence then.